Josh, I play bass in A Day to Remember.
And I'm Jeremy, I sing in A Day to Remember. It was pretty much just a bunch of us from different local bands getting together. Tom Earl, guitar player, one day just hit me up and he was like, you know, we'd like for you to sing for this new band we're putting together. And we met up, and then eventually we started finding other members in other local bands. Like Josh was in a local band in our area, and Neil used to be in the band that was pretty much our band without me in it. So Neil was just kind of like an easy fit to like go back into the band. And we found Alex because our original drummer quit, and he was also in local bands. So it's just a bunch of us from different like groups around our town. We actually had this guy who kind of like imposed on us originally because our drummer was really like persistent. This kid that he was friends with could be in the band, so we were like, yeah, we'll let him try out. And then he comes and leaves his equipment after we played. So we were like, yo, we don't want this kid in our band. He's like, well, I already told him he was, so he is. And then he already had the name A Day to Remember, and he was going to name his band that. So we were like, I kind of like that, so we kind of used it, and then he was just terrible, so we just kicked him out like a month later.
I think certain scenes like might be bigger like for us, like for Denver playing touring wise. Like certain places in the country or the world, you know, might be like a bigger draw than it is in Florida. But I love like where I'm from. I love Florida. I'm super fortunate to have like came from the hometown I did because we had a bunch of, you know, older bands that, you know, we looked up to that would always be bringing in touring acts that they were friends with, or they were on the same label as or something like that. And, you know, we got to see a lot of cool bands that ended up influencing, you know, what we're doing today. So I'm glad I came from Florida, but yeah, there's a ton of other places that are amazing, you know, to play, and I'm sure, you know, grew up in the scene.
Where we're from pretty much really kind of defined what we were going to do too, like as like a band, because it was predominantly a hardcore scene. So I mean, when it came time to like do our own thing, it was like we wanted to be a pop punk band, but we wanted to be a hardcore band at the same time. So it kind of we just started writing both as like the same kind of thing, and you know, we've just kind of gotten better at it along the way.
I would say my two favorites were, and some of their earlier releases, but Bury Your Dead and Comeback Kid. We also like listen to bands like Darkest Hour, some of their earlier stuff. We really like. As far as underrated,
Bayside's underrated.
Bayside is underrated. Definitely, that's actually it. That takes the cake.
It was definitely a surprise. I remember where we were. We were at our friend's like tattoo shop, just hanging out with him, and we got a call from our manager telling us our first day sales, which was like 9,000 copies, and we had bets like with like our management and like our booking agent and everyone we're involved with, like with how much it would do first week, and mine was 9,000. So it did in one day what I expected to do for the entire first week. So I mean, it was really it was awesome. You know, I mean, we've been working at this for a long time, and we've been working really hard. So it was, I don't know, you can't really describe it. It was just something we were really stoked on.
Just be over like your girlfriend's like house, and like her little brother wanting to go download like, you know, some pop act or whatever, and like on the iTunes chart, like our name being next to like Britney Spears and like, you know, stuff like that. There just was like, didn't make any sense, you know. So we were, yeah, it was a complete shock. It was huge. So we were stoked.
I think that's what we've always been about, is trying to like bridge a gap between two different styles of music. So like when you come to A Day to Remember show, you're getting two different things. You're getting, like, for a kid who just likes pop punk music and likes our band because of that side of our music, comes to our show and they see a hardcore show, like, you know what I mean, and that's way different from what people are used to. And it's just like, I think that's one of our strong points as a band. It's like people come to our shows and it's like you've never seen anything like that. Like when it comes to like people who just like heavy music, they come and they see like kids singing along to like every word of every song. It's like, you know, it's just like a different thing. Like combining the two things, I think we draw from a lot of different places, and you know, I think we're really fortunate that we can do that.
I'd say Holding It Down for the Underground is mine. I don't know, just like right like we started getting some of the mixes back. We were in Australia, and that just was a song that is really, really liked. It just sounded really good recorded, and I don't know, it was just, I liked it a lot.
I really like I Made a Wax Larry, and I just like the song. I think it's good. I think it's a little different than like a lot of the stuff we've done, so I think it was like branching out kind of, and I like that.
Blink-182.
Yeah, for sure, Blink.
I would say Newfound on it again.
Right, that'd be sick. I'd like to tour with Millencolin. And
Primarily pop punk tour right now.
on Broken Wings.
There we go. We'll add a hardcore band to the mix. We're kind of, just because I think, you know, we've done so many tours with them, and not solely for that reason. We like them as people too, but we kind of click really, really well with the Devil Wears Prada. They're kind of like our brother band, I guess. Just nice kids, and you know, just fun to be around on the road with. And then when we went on the Newfound Glory tour, that was really cool too, because it was a band that is, if you ask anybody in the band, they'd say it was one of our top influences. You know, like that band's from Florida. We just love everything they've done, and ended up being really, really normal, cool guys too. It wasn't, you know, when you go to see your favorite band, they're on a tier. You know, you think of them being some, you know, just like larger than life thing, and they weren't. They were just normal people. So it was really sweet.
For sure. I think the funniest thing I ever saw was we were on tour with Silverstein, and Prada was on the tour, and they did something stupid to us while we were playing, and it was like the show where everybody does something to each other while they're playing. So Josh and our old guitar player Tom like got in their underwear and like hiked it up to where they were like thongs, and then they stood on top of their guitar cabinets and started like dancing during like one of their songs, and they're like a serious metal band, you know what I mean? So like they're not like the kind of band that's going to be like goofing around on stage and stuff. So it was just really funny. They're like trying to be serious and play like a heavy song, and then they're just like dancing naked on top of their guitar cabinets. They didn't even realize it either until like the very end of the song. So it was really funny.
We've toured a ton. I don't know, whenever you start to headline, you know, it's your actual numbers. It goes to show like what you're capable of. You know, like all the hard work that you've been doing, like supporting bands, trying to grow your band. You know, you like going to some larger rooms. Like some of these rooms were kind of intimidating us. We're like, you know, are we actually able to sell this stuff, you know, on our own? But I think we put a really good package together, like excited kids and stuff. And so it's different than a support tour, because it's our tour and everything falls on our back. You know, like it's on us. You know how well the tour does. So
that's not really like the style of band we are. Where we came from, we had a lot of shitty things happen to us because, you know, we haven't done a lot of headlining stuff, and we've done a lot of support stuff. So there's been a lot of times where we got screwed over with like the tour and everything, and like with what people do for their show, and like, you know, like leaving a drum set up and you have to set up in front of it. You know, it's like that's like half the stage, and it like dramatically affects like how well you can play. And it's like we've had a lot of shitty stuff happen to us, and we really want to go out of our way to try to be like a band that's nice to the other bands. You know what I mean? Like that, because we came from like a position where people, you know, right,
looked at you as the, you know, first of five, you know, and treated you like that. We
right.
want people to leave the Day to Remember tour being like, that was the coolest band we've ever toured with.
100%.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, we'll still mess with them a little bit, but I mean,
and our crew definitely, you know, like this is all said without compromising like what we're trying to do. You
right.
know, like so. Our crew is like super, super strict on them. Like I think a band actually that's playing right now was running like 10 minutes late. Like our guitar tech was on their ass, you know, letting them know that's not acceptable, and you know, just stuff like that. But I think that's common sense. Everybody needs to learn. That's what we did when we started support. Is you learn how to tour. You know how to tour efficiently, and that's like we want to try to teach some of these younger bands.
Well, I mean, we pretty much just write, you know, everyday type songs. Like we're not writing songs about like random stuff. It's like everyday stuff that everybody goes through. So I mean, if you listen to A Day to Remember record, any record by A Day to Remember, it's something that you can relate to. And I definitely think that means a lot to our fans, that like every song is something that they've been through, you know, or like that they're gonna go through in their life. And I don't know. Like I just try to keep like a level head when it comes to like what we write about, because I'm not the kind of person who's going to start writing songs about like fucking, I don't know, space and shit. You know?
There's no gimmick. It's
right.
what you hear and what you see is what you get. You know, so like if you're not into it, we understand that people are into different things. But I think like what Jeremy said is a reason that a lot of people get into the band is because it can relate to anybody, any walk of life.